Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another WOW webinar. My name is Allison Hunter, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at WearWare, and I'm so excited to have our Chief Revenue Officer, Joe Harris, with us today to talk through website must-haves for 2021. Now, 2020 made it crystal clear how your website is critical to continue to sell your products and communicate with your customers. But your customers' expectations for that web experience have never been higher. So today, Joe is going to offer some simple recommendations on how you can improve your customers' website experience while driving online and offline sales. Now, we only have 30 minutes, and we are going to keep the presentation pretty high level and full of examples, but we are going to send out these 2 tactical checklists that give you step-by-step directions on how to improve your website experience and also Google's recent update page experience. And with that, I'm going to let Joe get started.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Allison. For those who I've met before and are familiar with WearWare, thank you for joining. And for all of those who I've not met, thank you for signing up and listening to how we think that you can be successful online going forward in 2021. Just to provide a quick overview of who WearWare is and how we service our customers, basically for the last 20 years, we've been focused on helping our clients grow through digital means, digital channels. All of the services that we provide are centered around our 3 core tenets of helping our customers achieve higher acquisition, higher customer retention, and higher maximization. Basically, how do we help customers get more customers, help our customers get more customers, how we can help them retain customers, and how can we help them maximize the relationships with each one of them. We have 2 main focus areas. One is on website development and e-commerce specifically, but though we do work with a wide variety of services on the web, we also provide campaign services and marketing optimization services as well to help customers, once they've executed a really sound website, build upon that. Since we only have about 30 minutes to go today, I wanted to quickly just touch base on some of our clients. We work with a wide range of industries, some companies that are rather large and some customers that are rather large online, but a wide range of industries like e-commerce, informational brochure sites, industries such as healthcare and finance and banking. So a wide variety of services that we offer to our clients. So heading into 2021, obviously this 2020 has been kind of a weird year with a lot of change, both in terms of traditional go-to-market and also the advent of online business. I'm not sure if you're familiar, I've seen this report, I've seen it circulated a couple of times, but just I guess McKinsey & Company released a report about July or August of this year that basically since COVID-19 has started, it has accelerated the penetration of e-commerce more quickly in 3 months than the prior 10 years combined. So the focus and the shift to e-commerce is tremendous. And we've seen this even greater over the last couple of days, where I believe the retail sales, the in-person sales on Black Friday was down 52%, according to Forbes. And then yes, Cyber Monday, just the other day, was the highest grossing online day in the history of e-commerce. So the information is definitely, the way that people buy are definitely changing. You know, heading into the year, eMarketer had predicted that retail sales were going to be down 10% and brick and mortar sales were going to be down 14%. I'm sure that those numbers have drastically changed, as has the 18% increase in e-commerce sales. We know that it continues to grow for consumer and also B2B traffic. Speaking of B2B, you know, we work with a wide range of customers, those who focus direct to consumer business, but also those on the B2B side. According to the CEB, 77% of all B2B purchasers won't speak to a salesperson until they've done their own research. So a lot of times, a lot of customers will come to me, how do they start those research methods? And that's where omni-channel, and you probably have heard that buzzword for quite a while, but omni-channel is definitely here to stay. customers may start focusing or starting to research on the web. They may start their research on online marketplaces. They could search through referrals or social networks or brick and mortar stores. But we know that 73% of customers use multiple channels during their shopping journey. And when you have a very strong omni-channel campaign in place, you will see a 287% higher purchase rate. Now, I think one thing to stress upon here is that your online and offline and all your social avenues must be consistent and tell a strong story throughout the entire customer journey, because you don't know where the customer is going to start and you don't know where the customer is actually going to place their order or fill out the lead form. So heading on to the next section, where a great website experience keeps customers coming back. And I think that's something we want to stress through here. Now, what we have seen and what e-consultancy here has confirmed, that customer retention will pay off in the long run. While a lot of focus, and we all spend a lot of time and energy trying to convert new shoppers into buyers, we have seen greater add to cart conversion rates and revenue per session statistics and numbers from those customers who have a relationship with your company and with your brand. So I think as time has gone on, and what COVID has shown us as well, is having that sticky environment and a place where customers feel comfortable with, that will pay off in spades. But we have also seen, what Forrester has listed, is that 80% of customers abandon their purchases due to difficult online experiences. And that's what we want to focus a lot of this presentation on here, is what you can do to have a good customer experience. So sitting here today, what are some expectations that your customers have as far as an elevated customer experience? You know, the customer experience and user experience were probably words that didn't exist in our lexicon 4 or 5 years ago, but they're extremely important today. So customers do expect having a good quality, high impact design site. They expect to find products and information really quickly. They are focused on this being a self-serve vehicle. You know, as I mentioned earlier, B2B, on the B2B side, 77% of people want that self-serve and will get far along the buying journey before they call anybody. You know, having content that is clear and concise and that is helpful and at the forefront and easy to find is critical, as is good page experience, whether it's page load, whether it's your mobile experience, whatever it might be. Make sure that the site loads quickly and it renders well across multiple devices. And then lastly, we want to make sure you focus on offline and online sales. The website could be the entry point into the sale opportunity, but the order might actually be placed in various other avenues, such as social, in person, through a sales rep, whatever it might be. So it should be a consistent experience throughout. So what are some must-haves to improve customers' website experiences? About 2 months ago, we recently launched a website, or a couple websites for Yamaha, one for their wave runners and one for their boats websites. But for them and for Yamaha, from a branding experience, they love using video, animation, and rich lifestyle photography to tell their brand story. And I think that's really important, that when you have high impact design, it is definitely a reference point of how somebody will review and consider your company. So I know that a lot of you guys probably don't have a ton of assets like Yamaha has, and they have spent a lot of time and energy acquiring those types of assets, but start using them, start accumulating that information. You know, 62% of the top online retailers are using this. So I think there's an opportunity for, even if you're not a top online retailer, start building that impact design that resonates with the customer and leaves an impact when they leave. We also want to focus on making sure your site has good navigation. Concise in as much as possible visual navigation. You know, Salesforce is listed that 56% of customers expect to find whatever they need from a company in 3 clicks or less. You know, that could be the way that you display content. It could be how you categorize content. You know, you should probably, if you're into e-commerce, you may want to enable customers to shop by collection or by room or by lifestyle. Maybe you're in by color. If you're not in e-commerce, you probably want to focus in service areas to give the customer the most expedient way to find that content. Likewise, you need to have a really good search. The customer will find your website. They may know what they're looking for exactly. So search really serves that tool. They can type in a SKU number or a search term and they get the results. Having a robust search includes the ability to show product information, but also it should reference content information as well too, especially if you're in a content heavy site, making sure that there's tools out there that will reference and catalog all that content and then provide really good search results for you. Likewise, you will have customers who want to search their own way. So being able to narrow and filter and sort your search information, giving the shopping capabilities directly to the user is really important as well too. Now, when you get somebody to a content page, I think this is gone are the days where you have just the accounting number and the price. You need to really romance and enrich the product information on a page or on the content, the specific content when you get into a service page. One thing that we stress to a lot of our customers is as much as you can, leverage data integrations, whether through a product information management system, whether it's through an ERP. Don't try to hand key in information as much as you can because it's a lot. And when humans are involved, humans tend to make more mistakes. Also, customers are looking for information such as warranties and recipes and other information. So when they're doing the research, they have access to all that content available. And increasingly, having reviews available on your site. I am sure, as you all have done when you're doing your Cyber Monday shopping, you probably check some of the reviews to see what other people are saying. So that's becoming increasingly, I think it's very table stakes when it's on a consumer site, and on the B2B site, more and more people are starting to leave reviews and want to hear from experts who are other users of that content. One other area here too that we've seen a lot of customers invest in is using data algorithms, or I want to say artificial intelligence. Basically cloud, it's using algorithms in the cloud to determine how and what product information you see. So for instance, one of our customers, Creative Co-op here, sells a lot of home decor, flower, and Kindle products. On their site, we put a third-party tool onto the site that drives personalized product recommendations to the end user. It's not a generic list where everybody sees the same exact product information, but actually it's personalized content based on the user and that profile of that customer that we have on hand, whether at the browser level or whether we enrich it through integrations with other tools as well. It worked so far as that at one point we had this recommendation tool down here, what this you may also like, down below the fold. And as soon as we pushed it above, we saw almost a 1,200% increased product-driven revenue from that slight adjustment to the site. So having good, powerful, if you can afford it, algorithm-based product recommendations is really critical today. I also want to touch quickly on self-serve portals, going back originally to how customers are doing a lot more research themselves. Specifically, I want to target on the retailer side or on the B2B side, is that customers want to do as much homework as they can before they call somebody. So having a portal on your website that gives access to information, it could be your list of your order history. What's the tracking number? How can I place a quick reorder of items? Who is my sales rep? What are products that are recommended for me? Having a portal on your website so customers can do their own research prior to making that phone call or making that visit is important. Now, lastly, on this segment, I do want to talk about ADA compliance just quickly. More and more of our customers are bringing up the need to service a lot more customers who may have a disability. It's striking how many people will need access to your website. So you need to ensure that your site has some level of compliance. There are third-party tools that you can leverage in order to do a quick scan of that. I think it's something that you can always get better on. You'll never solve completely, but I do suggest that you make initial steps in order to make sure your site is ADA compliant, at least at the single A and double A level. So that's a lot about the online aspect of the digital journey and channel. We also want to stress a little bit of that your online channel is also extremely important to support your offline needs, whether it's in store, whether it's in the showroom, whether it's your business, whatever it might be. Making sure your website journey and your online journey and your offline journey match is important. So an example of such is that we have a customer that launched their own B2C business, but wanted to focus on helping their retailers, which was their core business at the time. It still is their core business. So we created a retailer search function on their website, so a user can go in, enter a zip code, and see a list of customers within a radius of their house. So the goal there, what the customer wanted was that a consumer would be able to go see which stores would sell this item. Likewise, we supplemented that with social advertising as well too, through Instagram, and through Facebook. Customers would be prompted when they're on those networks to go see information on that specific, find a retailer close to them. And then lastly, we supplemented it through email as well too, so that while we can certainly take the order online, we also, to the customer, to MudPie in this case, an order was an order is an order. So they didn't necessarily care where the order got placed. They wanted whether a retailer took the order or whether the website took the order. And they wanted to support the user journey wherever the user wanted to go place the order. More and more, we're seeing a lot of in-person experiences translated online. So a couple of our customers have used 3D or virtual tours of their showrooms or their office buildings, or recently I was doing some research on a cabin in the mountains, and they gave me a 3D tour of a virtual tour of the cabin. So more and more, if you can take that offline experience and put it online, whether it's catalogs, whether it's through the showroom tours, or whether it's through your store tours, that's something that is definitely appealing to consumers today. Make sure to supplement your information in your website to support SEO. More and more of local SEO. 80% of consumers have used the search engine in the past week to find local business information. So make sure, we're all been sitting in the car looking up a restaurant or looking up a place of business, and you need to make sure your website supports your information and that you've worked with Google or Maps or whatever tool that you're using to make sure your site is easily accessible or your location is easily accessible. Now, the last case study I wanted to talk on real quick is something that we did for Yamaha. They have for years spent a lot of time and energy trying to drive consumers to go to a dealer. Now, Yamaha cannot sell directly to a dealer. They sell to a consumer. They must sell through a dealer or a retailer. So they spent a lot of time and energy trying to drive that traffic to the dealer, but then they could potentially leave with a competing product. So Yamaha wanted to say, how can we change that? So one of the things that we did on their website was build a find a dealer locator where somebody could type in their zip code, where maybe even the browser can recognize who they are. They can go see the results of the dealers in their area, and then they can actually go ahead and build and price. Remember, they cannot take the order, but they're trying to get as far along in the buying process as they can. Build and price an article, or even test drive an item, or a wave runner or a boat. The goal there is to work with the retailer to drive that traffic with the overall values that they leave with Yamaha item. So on their website, we gave basically almost an e-commerce experience, even though it's just more of a lead generation experience. This is more of a B2B2C type experience, if you're familiar with that term. Users can go navigate, find an item that they're looking for. They can be prompted with accessories. This is an excellent use of product recommendations as well, where your accessories are chosen based on who you are and where you may be located. So the user can go ahead and add that to their virtual quote. And then they can see offers that pertain to them. A lot of times this is geography based, or maybe it's based on the product that you selected. But again, it's personalizing that journey, getting that user to enter this information. And then ultimately, the idea is that you can email this quote directly to a dealer so that they can go, when the consumer walks into the door, they have all that information at their their availability, and the consumer walks out with a brand new wayfinder. So working with your online channel to support your offline channel is critical. What you just need to figure out what is that secret sauce that makes you successful working with your retailers if you're in the B2B side. Now, your web experience may be lacking. How do you improve? How do you get started on analyzing and understanding what's working and what's not? So there are quite a range of tools that you can use. We can provide some options or some suggestions on tools that you can use. But at a basic level, you probably want to put some information on there so you can track to see what people are clicking. You should put information to see what people are searching for when they're actually going into the search tools. Maybe you adjust your categories, maybe adjust your filters based on the way people are searching. You also want to see what channels they're engaging with. Are they reacting extremely well to email, or are they only finding you through organic search? And the key with each one of these things is learn. There may be areas where you're doing poorly, so take that opportunity to improve. And there may be times where you're doing something successfully well, so maybe you need to double down on some of those areas. But always understand that you can always improve, and there are tools out there that you can implement on your site, relatively easy to monitor. I mentioned this at the very beginning, but page experience does matter. Whether you're on your mobile phone or whether you're on a website browser or on your computer and your desktop, if the experience isn't good, if it takes a long time to load, or if the visual is not good, people will leave. So we say that if it takes more than 3 seconds for a page to load, potentially half your customers will leave. So we don't want to do that. Now, Google does a really good job on ranking your page experience. And as Allison mentioned at the beginning, we have a checklist on there that you can download or we can send to you to provide more information on how to analyze and learn some tips on how to improve. A recent thing, and I think A/B testing has been out there for a while, but I know there is a further and greater focus on experimentation. If that is not a term you're familiar with, it is coming, and it's coming in full force. The idea behind experimentation is that you can target content, you can test that content, and then you can leverage tools to make recommendations of content based on how people are reacting to your site. If you are on this page right here and the call to action is shop now, and down here it's steal their style, you can have 2 different experiments running, and then you can actually analyze and see which call to action here is converting the most. It could be something as simple as a call to action. It could be different photography, it could be different content, but make sure that you start exploring experimentation tools into your overall buying journey or buying and research, because a third of the companies experimenting saw an increase in digital revenue of nearly 10%. So it's something that's here to stay. The big boys are doing it, and definitely the technology is available now that smaller companies can afford this type of tool and leverage even algorithms and AI to make even better recommendations for your website. Lastly, in closing, some must-haves from a website platform. First off, I definitely encourage strongly purchasing or working off a content management system. Gone are the days where you should call it IT in order to make a website change. So leverage a content management system. Make sure your site is mobile friendly. Half your traffic is going to come from mobile, half of it won't. So it's got to be catered towards both. Make sure it can scale and is secure. Traffic to websites have increased tremendously in the last 9 months due to COVID. It's now, once we've trained everybody to use the websites, it's going to even grow even further as time goes on. Make sure you use product recommendations and self-service tools. Start engaging and exploring experimentation and AI to bolster and improve the website performance for your customers. And start the process of segmenting and creating personalized content based on who your users are. Start that persona development. If you're not into the persona development, that is something where you can basically provide information based on that actual audience member who's viewing your site, rather than trying to done the same content to everybody. And then lastly, if you're working with a website partner, a lot of times these days it's hard to do this all internal. So you're working with a partner to help support your website. Some questions that you can ask, and in the recording we can have some of these things, but a lot of times are, what are your developer specializations? Are you more of a system implementer, or do you provide the overall strategy and campaign services? It's one thing just to go put the pieces together. It's another thing to assist somebody and come up with a plan in order to how to best put the pieces together and how to integrate campaign services to drive traffic to your new website experience. Can they provide references? How do they handle scope or budget creep? That's something that, as much planning as you possibly can do up front, there will be new things that come along downstream. And then who will handle ongoing maintenance issues and support? I believe we're almost out of time, but I wanted to thank you for joining. And Allison, I don't know if there's any questions.
A lot of questions. So unfortunately, I think we can take 2 or 3. If we don't get to yours, again, we will email you directly or give you a call so we can talk through any of your challenges. So let me see. Our first question comes from Raji, and I think this is a good starting one. How can I know where my site has issues? Where do I start?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that you can do. I would say probably start leveraging some of those third-party tools to do a quick scan of your site to see how people are reacting and if they're clicking on the right things. I think also another very good tool is to be your own secret shopper on the site. Fill out the forms. Try to add an item to the cart. Are you frustrated? Does the site take a long time? So I think it's a blend of, it's almost the qualitative versus the quantitative standpoint. The qualitative, as a user, test your own site, get your friend to go test the site. Make sure that the simple things that you expect, when you're shopping somebody else's site or visiting somebody else's site, you see that same experience when you do it yourself. And then on the quantitative side, there are tools, Hotjar, Mouseflow, Tea Leaf, wide range. We can provide all that information, but is the page loading in time? Is it providing enough? You can see the density, what people are clicking on. So I think it's a blend of quantitative and qualitative research there.
I love that answer, especially the secret shopper one, since that's no cost and anybody can do that. Okay, I think we have just one more question for now. This is a question from Steven. He wants to know what do they have to do to add product recommendations?
So I think there's a couple ways to add product recommendations there. One is that if you're on a CMS site or a platform that provides out-of-the-box product recommendations, definitely start using that. Usually that may mean manual assignment of products through data. So that's part one, is just using basically what your website has, what your platform has. Secondly, if you are working with more impressive technology out there, what you can do is you let the cloud determine what that information is. So you have a product catalog, you have product data, you list all the SKUs you have, and then what these intelligence engines will do is go analyze that information, the products that you sell, and then match that with your profile information. That could be where you're located. That could be if you've been on the website before. That could be what did you order 6 months ago. And what these third-party engines will do is actually show a list of products based on that best matches the profile of the individual user and show those on the website itself. The good thing there is that it's smart content. And then another good part of it is it takes out the manual entry of that work too.
Thank you. Yeah, Stephen, product recommendations are one area we see as a huge quick win for our clients. So if you have any further questions, feel free to reach us at sales@whereware.com. We are all out of time. Again, we are going to be sending the recording, and we have already received 2 submissions for our 5 free audits. So please send, if you have any interest, please send us an email today, and we would love to add you to that list. Thank you, Joe, and thank you everyone for joining us today, and I hope to see you at our next webinar.